Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm Dave McGar. This is Property Value. That was not such a great lowering of the music this morning. I'm here with Christian Lalong.
Good morning.
Taylor is in the studio this morning with us. You can't see him, but he is here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's January 21st and beautiful weather in Miami. Good vibes here in the studio. A lot of news out there to report. So let's get into it.
Plenty of them. So, like you said, let's just jump right into it. And the first one that I'm going to be talking about is coming in from Globe Street. I think this is pretty good. Pretty good indication, just kind of what everyone has already been aware of, where commercial real estate projects getting tripped up by supply chain woes. And with this is just pretty much talking about how developments has been having a lot of logistical issues. Commercial real estate is impacted like the rest of the world with logistical delays, prolonging lead times on the construction front, in addition to delays on the architectural and engineering front as well. And office spaces needs for under 10,000 square feet have been used to take 6 months. Now it's 8 to 10 in order to develop. Firms are as well trying to manage as they're ordering materials in advance, and they're seeking the majority of projects that do not have sufficient laydown area to store the materials as well. So clients are having to rent out nearby warehouses in order to store their materials so that they can begin developing their lands.
So they said now it's at 8 months and it started at where?
So normally it used to take about 6 months in order to develop a property, but now it's taking anywhere between 8 to 10. Is taking
develop a property or to get the supplies delivered?
No,
I think you're just talking about supplies delivered, not to develop a property, because it takes longer. Can you close those curtains behind you? Taylor, can you help her? You have to close them before you sit down.
Sorry about that. Well,
it's supposed to be a fantasy what's behind the curtains.
Now everybody knows the truth.
Kids.
So it's just it's more logistical delays. Actually, you're right. Rereading it, it's just it's more the supplies, like you were saying. It's more about getting all the materials in. Rather than getting them between half a year, it's going to be taking longer, pushing development further back, pushing everyone's plans as well further back. And it's just like unfortunately, it's just kind of what everyone is pretty much aware of that. Having these supply chains issues is just causing people to lose time in a sense. They're having to push and push, and it's just it's putting developers into a tight spot.
Yeah, it's putting everyone in a tight spot, whether you're a developer or you're a flipper or you're just a consumer. Because we bought a townhouse in Fort Pierce. Ralph bought his house here, South Miami, both doing renovations. We did full gut renovations in Fort Pierce. We started in, I would say, July last year. Here we are in January. We're not finished yet. We're still waiting on our impact windows. It's been about 5 months for that. So it's not up to that 8 month, but it's taken a long time to get the impact windows. And that's all on supply. I mean, and everything else, even if you try to order furniture right now, it's like 3 months out.
Or even simple things like pavers. Because we were renovating our backyard and we needed to just get pavers. And even that, like something that normally would be super cheap to get, has been getting pretty expensive. And we've actually had to reuse some pavers from my grandma's house that she had spare.
That's cute.
Yeah, it is. in order to have supply.
Well, yeah, you touched on two things. Like the price has gone up, plus the time of delivery has increased. So yeah, that's the bottleneck. That's the containers. That's the boats out in the harbor, and that's what we're dealing with in 2022. Hopefully, it gets rectified and we don't hear about it again. Because it's weird. Like I lived my whole life, I never heard of supply constraints. And
Mm-hmm.
then COVID comes, and we have this big parking lot of freight ships
Mm-hmm.
out in the ocean that can't come into the ports, and the ports can't unload it fast enough, and I don't know, there's not enough trucks to distribute the containers to
Mm-hmm.
the locations that they need to be going to, and I don't know, and yeah, and when it's all trickle down and we all feel it,
Mm-hmm.
and it would be nice. I don't think prices will ever go down, but hopefully delivery time will decrease. All right, let's pivot. Miami developer Miami developer Carlos Rosso on starting his own firm in pioneering standard branded residences. And Carlos Rosso led the condo division for Miami's most prominent developer, Related Group. I'm going to put this one up. There we go. The most prominent developer, Related Group, for nearly 2 decades until he felt it was time to start his own firm. Now, a little over a year later, Rosso has launched the first ever standard branded condo project in the US, seeking to build on the trendy reputation of the Standard Hotel brand, which is a very cool hotel brand. I mean, the Standards here in Miami, it's a very laid back. If you've ever been there, it's a very spa-ish feel. They've got a real cool, trendy, like restaurant, drinks, happy hour right on the bay. You can watch the sun go down. You can dock your boat out front. People paddleboard up there, jet ski up there.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a real cool vibe. It's definitely a different vibe than going into your typical hotel. So it goes on to say that I spent 20 years with George, referring to the Related founder, chairman, CEO, George Perez, and we had a great time. He remembers him telling him, whatever you want to do, I'll always support you, and you'll always have a place to come back if you want to. Shortly after leaving, Rosso was contracted by Midtown developer Alex Vade, who master planned the development of Midtown Miami. That's a walkable district anchored by Target. From a risk perspective, I think it was the right scale for me in terms of the cost and value and amount of equity that I needed to deploy. Rosso said it was a perfect kickstart to envision the first project of Rosso development. Rosso then reached out to Amar Lavani, CEO of hotel management company Standard International, regarding a potential branding partnership founded by hotelier Andre Balaz. The Standard attracted locals, celebrities, and overnight guests to hang out at the spas, pools, and trendy restaurants. See, exactly, almost my exact words. A few Standard branded hotels have been through changes lately. 2 in Los Angeles closed. The trendy Standard High Line in New York has tied up in foreclosure. And the Standard Hotel in Miami was bought by an entity tied to Starwood Capital CEO Barry Sternlight. Rosso said those changes don't affect his project. They are due to transactions with the underlying real estate, not the operator. He said Balaz reportedly sold an 80% stake of the Standard International to private investors in a Bangkok-based real estate firm. Sanji now has 59% stake, according to Shift. The Standard International umbrella now includes hotel brands Bunkhouse and Perry, and Lavani has discussed plans to expand to 35 additional properties. Rosso pitched Lavani on the idea of a branded residences that led to a licensing deal with the Midtown project, becoming the first ever standard branded condo in the U.S. The resulting branding design includes studios to 2-bedroom layouts ranging from 432 square feet to 965 square feet. Includes amenities one might expect from a Standard: a rooftop pool, a restaurant, a bar, a concierge service, fitness center, an infrared sauna, karaoke bar, pet spa, and others. The 10,000 square foot ground floor space will be leased to shops and restaurants. Units will be priced from $329,000 to $829,000, and owners will be allowed to lease their units for short-term rentals of 1 month or more. So, it's funny because they say 1 month or more, which cuts out Airbnb, which
Mhm.
cuts out I can't rent my unit for, Friday, Saturday night. If you see on Airbnb, it's usually like 2-night minimum, things
Mhm.
like that. And I mean, I guess there's a loophole. Like you could say, "Hey, we're renting it for 30 days," and people only realize you say, "Oh, they only want to stay for 2 nights,"
Mhm.
but they actually rented it for 30 days. I don't know. It's I guess that's popping up more and more. Remember, we read about the gentleman from WeWork doing his condo building in downtown, and he was same kind of model where the owners will be allowed to do short-term rentals as well. So it says under this agreement, Standard International has to approve everything: architecture, entire interior design, programming, marketing. That includes the sofas that are going to be in the lobby, the music that's going to get played in the speakers, and even staff uniforms. Arqua, how do you say that?
Arc, mm, Arquitonia?
Teca. We're killing it, and it's one of the biggest architect firms. Arc.
Architectonic.
Yeah, edit that out.
Taylor, can you do it live?
To see in condo development, it isn't necessary to sell everything to everybody, but to forge a connection with a key audience. Rosa noted he recalled when Related Group developed an Armani brand building with Gil Desser, and the Miami developer popularized the branding of high rises with projects like Trump branded towers and Porsche design towers. He used to tell us, the difference between me and you. We read different magazines. You guys are crazy about art. I'm crazy about cars. He said, for me, opening the hood of a Porsche Carrera and listening to the Pistons, that's noise for me. That's classical music or that's art. Rosa declined to discuss specific terms of the license agreement. And it says the developer gets the cachet recognition that a brand name can bring. Conversely, a developer's network of brokers and its advertising power can help a brand spread. I'm going to be spending more than 10 times your budget in marketing in one of your hotels, putting your brand in different submarkets where maybe you'll never thought that you could reach. For example, the Standard, we are running ads in Brazil. We are running ads in Colombia. We are geo-targeting apps in Mexico. And guess what? Developers from all these and developers from Mexico are calling the Standard now saying, hey, Carlos Rosso is doing a development with you in Miami. We followed what he did with SLS. We want to see whether we can do something with you in Brazil. That appears to already be shaking out. So good for him, good for Carlos, good for, I mean, he spoke many times over at FIU in front of the real estate school. And he's a very talented guy, and it's great to see him come out and now do his own thing from the brand, from Related Group. So good luck to Carlos. What's up, man?
No, definitely. Like, good luck to him. Also, Midtown is an area that I go and I pass by a lot. I really enjoy, and I would honestly love to live by that area. It's just, it's really different. You got the Louis Vuitton not too far. When I think
Is
they're
that where
still
you
there.
shop, Louis Vuitton?
On
So
occasion,
wanna be
when I save up for like a year.
Go to Louis Vuitton. Hilarious.
But no, they have they were having like an art show over there, and as well, there's actually a huge vacant lot that they call the Midtown Park. But as far as I'm aware, it's not even like a real like zoned off area. It's just the developers haven't started yet, and they're calling it the Midtown Park now. And it's just that whole area is just so much different from Wynwood. But it feels, the best way I can describe it is fresh. It's just, you got condominiums everywhere, you got apartment buildings everywhere, you got these trendy restaurants like they said in the restaurant in the article, and it's just a place that is really nice to just go hang out, walk around, or even live by. So to see the development just continue, I'm pretty excited.
You sound it, man. You sound
A little bit,
you
right?
are an
Well,
advocate for Midtown. I mean, you should be a broker, man. You should put out some marketing materials and stuff. I think you should live a block away from work so you can walk here, you can walk home, and you can just always work. Those are my thoughts. You don't have time to go to trendy places like Louis Vuitton and or the money.
Well, but as
What's
for
your next
now,
article, man? What do you got going on?
well,
Let's get you out of the clouds and put you back on reality.
the
Tell me something
reality
about
is
Amazon.
the reality is Kendall is still where it's at. Shout out to my home neighborhood of West Kendall area,
Suburbia.
where Amazon delivery station in West Kendall has sold for $35 million. So I actually drive by there pretty much every day. I drive by right by that area. And like either going to work or coming back home from from work or from up north, I'm pretty much always by there. And it's a huge lot. It's like 5 acres. I'm going to get into it now. But a warehouse hosting an Amazon.com delivery station in West Kendall neighborhood of the Miami-Dade County sold for $34.69 million to be exact. The Kendall Property Owner LLC, in care of the Minneapolis-based the Ryan company, sold the new 83,842 square foot warehouse to CPUS 3 Lakes LP. And the price equated to $414 per square foot. The warehouse is located on a 5-acre site just east of Miami Executive Airport. Amazon opened the last mile delivery station there in the fourth quarter of 2021. There's been strong demand for e-commerce properties in South Florida as many people buy goods online. With a strong balance sheet, Amazon is a great tenant for real estate investors to bank on receiving from. As well, what the article here doesn't mention is right next to it, they actually just finished building a bus station, like a bus hub. So there's a whole bunch of accessibility to that warehouse now. And
So you're saying Amazon employees don't drive?
no, well, my friend drives
Or
when
you're
he goes to
saying
work.
that helps them get to work? the
I'm saying,
bus?
I'm saying that helps them get employees to be able to go into work. For example, like if I didn't have my car,
You would
in
work
order
at
to get
Amazon,
when I work at Amazon, yeah, it's not bad.
but isn't it highly automated? And
It depends. So actually,
they're not building anything
my
there,
friend
right?
works at this
It's
warehouse.
just a shipping distribution.
No, there's actually my friend when whenever we talk about work, and he's telling me at his Amazon, he works not as a manager but just second to it, and he tells me that not only is it just shipping, but it's also returns, as well. There's a lot of biohazard stuff that they have to go through, and as well they have to if they're going to return, they have obviously the warehouse separated for that, and as well for shipping, but as well they have an entire area just dedicated to their trucks, making sure all the trucks are maintained. And
That's their fleet.
yeah, so
Amazon properties need more parking lot space.
yeah, the parking lot space
Than
is
normal,
huge. If you're
distribution.
going by the end of the Dolphin Expressway and you are going westbound, if you just look to your right, you can see literally if not all, a good majority of the parking lot space, and it is you can see it to the horizon. It is a lot of parking space, like you mentioned. If I were to say the actual warehouse itself would probably be maybe 4 acres out of the 5, something like that, because it's a huge warehouse. It is ginormous.
You have the numbers, man.
Yeah,
Say the numbers. I get it. Amazon's there.
Yeah.
They're a credit tenant.
Mhm.
They're taking over. They're bought all over Florida,
Mhm.
and it's one of the best tenants you can have. So obviously they're demanding over $400
Mhm.
a square foot, and it didn't say much about the lease or the dynamics of the lease that's in place. But yeah, they built it, and now that's pretty much a sale leaseback. They're selling it, taking the equity out, but they're still a tenant. So
Mhm.
that's why it's drawing so much. All right, Amazon's great. They're a great tenant, and this is saying Hollywood's new script. Let's pull this up. See what I got here. Hollywood's new script, Miami neighbor sees major development. That is Hollywood, Florida. Did that go bigger or no? Whatever. Hollywood, Florida, not Hollywood, California. Among the major developments sprouting in downtown Hollywood is a multi-building project from BTI Partners in Young Circle. Because here's the thing about Hollywood, before I get into the article, was so much repositioning. So Hollywood is it's north of Miami. Obviously, it's in Broward County, but it's south of the big downtown Fort Lauderdale in Broward. So That's the hub of where all the real towers are in
Hmm.
downtown and financials and all this. So Hollywood's just a town, and but people were going in there and buying these smaller, like 10 to 20 unit multifamilies, and they weren't tearing them down. They're just redoing them, renovating them,
Hmm.
and rents are going up. Rents are going up, and now, as you see in the picture that I'm displaying, you can see the towers start going up.
Hmm.
So now people are actually spending the money for new development. And that's what this is about. It says Hollywood, Florida might not have the star power of its much more famous namesake in California, but the city is beginning to take on a bright sheen as developers tap the market and new residential towers rise downtown. In late November 2021, for example, only one apartment was vacant in Hollywood Circle. One apartment.
Wow.
A 386 unit rental building that opened 3 years ago. So there was one apartment, brand new building opens, 386 units, and only one was vacant. It says we're seeing more and more people from out of town who are renting. And obviously, during COVID, there was a lot more from the New York area. 24-story building is part of a mixed use project that includes a hotel and a anchored Publix. The says it's one of the hottest areas for development. Jack McCabe, research and consulting. A lot of people would go anywhere near the app there. A lot of people would not go anywhere near there after dark. It was more high crime, blighted area. Now you've got a residential entertainment hub there. It's one of the hottest areas for development. Um, do you go to Hollywood? Do you know Hollywood? Do you know that area?
I've been to Hollywood Beach. That's where I've been to more. I don't really explore Hollywood too much just because it's it's just really far north, and it's just I don't really go there too often. But when I have been there, it's always been a pleasure. It's just always been, it's just always
You're
been
so cute,
nice.
man. Meanwhile, things have changed over the decade. It says land has gotten so expensive that it was natural to look at Dania Beach, Hollywood, North Miami, and Riviera Beach. These are all, like Riviera Beach is a very fun. That's in Palm Beach County, and it's just west of Palm Beach Island,
Hmm.
the famous millionaires, billionaires, mansions on the beach where Trump's got his palace and all that. But then you go into Riviera Beach and it's a much different neighborhood. I
Hmm.
mean, it's like what they say, you're not doing a lot of walking around at night there. So, as it says, land has gotten expensive. Now, developers are looking in these areas: Dania Beach, Hollywood, North Miami. North Miami is where my son lives. I'm not going to tell you his address, but I'll just put it on the screen. Oh, no, that's his phone number. You guys can text him if you want. City government, see what else is. I want to see if it says this article is really long, but it's nice that you like the beach in Hollywood, man.
Hollywood is really really nice, especially if you just kind of like want to get away from the noise that can sometimes be like Miami Beach in a sense. It's just so dense, and if you just go up north to Hollywood or even like Naples, it's just a lot more room. It's a lot more quiet. Um, but at the same time, it's not going to be quiet for too long because coming into my next article here by the Miami Herald, it's where do travelers want to go in 2022? And Key West and Miami Beach TripAdvisor reports are the two top locations.
Hold on one second. It's funny because it says exactly what you were talking about earlier.
Hmm.
To call back to supplies, it says supply additions could impact operators' decisions making in some localized areas, but most submarkets face limited new competition. The broker reported. Um, did not count Hollywood among Broward County submarkets where multifamily overbuilding is a potential risk.
Mm.
It did include Fort Lauderdale and 5 western suburbs where overbuilding could be a risk, which are Davie, Miramar, Plantation, Pembroke Pines, and Weston. But they're stating that Hollywood is not at risk of overbuilding. There really has not been significant multifamily development in Hollywood. And so just see how do they that's it. So yeah, man, Hollywood's I mean, I know we were looking at duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes personally in Hollywood for a while.
Hmm.
And now it's like, that was like 3 years ago. So that's exciting, man. It's cool to see different towns being built out now rather than just the big hubs of Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and Palm Beach.
Hmm.
Sorry, I interrupted you. What was your title?
No, so it's all right. But to add to that point, it's like we were saying, it's nice to see other areas like where we were also seeing West Palm Beach grow. We were also seeing, I believe, they're trying to make a financial district in West Palm Beach as well.
No, there
In
is a financial.
oh, there is, yeah, the South,
It's called the Wall Street.
the Wall Street of the South, right?
Yes, man.
Yeah, that was a great title.
No, it's the truth. It's facts, man.
So to lead to the next article is where do travelers want to go in 2022? Key West and Miami Beach TripAdvisor reports. This is coming from the Herald, and TripAdvisor just released its
We don't
2022.
even need TripAdvisor to tell us that. I mean, we saw the occupancy ourselves.
Right.
I mean, that's like, thanks TripAdvisor, but 80% occupied from the 7, between Christmas and New Year's.
Mhm.
It dropped down to, you read it yesterday. It was, I think it dropped down to like 79%.
It was the highest
in
was
the
79 in
70s.
the Keys, and it went like as low as
So
low
remembering
40s.
that 79 in the Keys, what does TripAdvisor say?
So TripAdvisor is saying that they just released their 2022 Travelers' Choice Awards for destinations, and Key West and Miami Beach were two of the most popular. Key West was actually ranked number 4, and Miami Beach was ranked at number 8. But really, it's kind of
Who's number 1?
Unfortunately, the Herald doesn't say.
They're biased.
A little bit. But the real one that I wanted to talk about was here we go. So the most popular travel locations in the United States, here we go, were Las Vegas, followed by Hawaii and Oahu and Maui. The rest of the top 10 were New York, New Orleans, Savannah, Georgia, Nashville, Tennessee, and Sedona, Arizona. The other Florida cities in the top 25 were St. Augustine at ranked number 12. And I'm trying to find.
And most of those places are hot real estate. Like Arizona's hot, Nashville's hot, Florida. Everyone loves Hawaii.
Yeah. Here it is. Okay. So, but like I was mentioning with Naples, there are also some indications that travelers are considering new destinations in Florida on the trending destination list, which provided a focus on upcoming and up-and-coming spots that aren't quite as big or popular. Fort Myers was number 5. Naples was number 6. Clearwater, Florida was number 9, all within the top 10.
West coast of Florida, baby. All right, man. Let's talk about the Duval Hotel.
Mm-hmm.
What do you got? And I'll chime in.
Right. So this is coming in from The Real Deal, and it is. There we go. Miami Beach orders historic oceanfront Duval Resort to be demolished. Morello family that owns the property has racked up to close to $2 million in fines over the past year. The demolition order, which was announced via letter in the Miami Beach City Commission on Wednesday, follows the ownership reports that determined the building was an unsafe structure. The city verified those findings with an inspection last week. Unfortunately, that report makes it clear that the building is unsafe, cannot be saved due to structural defects. The letter to the commission from the city manager, Alina Haddock, states. The hotel was famous for having the Beatles in 1964 perform on the perform there, and as well, the property has attracted big names such as Frank Sinatra, the late Joan Rivers, and as well John F. Kennedy. It was closed, though, in 2017 due to an electrical fire and then hasn't reopened since that time. The 540-key hotel at 6701 Collins Avenue has been at the center of litigation and other issues between the city and the ownership, the city and its ownership for years. Duval Associates LLC, a company owned and controlled by Belinda and Rich Morello, acquired the hotel in 2004 for just $4 million. But this is really where we get into the meat and potatoes of it. The North Beach Hotel has racked up fines totaling $1.8 million since last year, according to Miami Beach Historic Preservation Board. Eric Carpenter of Miami Beach Deputy City Manager said on Thursday that the city will begin the application process for its demolition, which can take on 1 to 2 months. Once the permit is approved, which includes a signed off from the Miami-Dade County's Department of Environmental Resource Management, work will be done to ensure the building is safe for demolition, which could take another 2 months additional. That will include its absent processes said. It is unclear what is in store for the 3.8 property following demo. Carpenter said that the owners will have to seek approval from the Miami Beach Historic Preservation Board for an after-the-fact certificate of appropriateness that will dictate what the owners can do with the property. When I was reading the Miami Herald's, take on this, they were saying that it would have to be a reproduction, that they would have to make it exactly 1-to-1 as how it was before, how it is now. So even if they were going to rebuild it, it was going to have to be pretty much the exact same property. It was going to be the exact same building. When I was reading it through the Herald. But this is a kind of like where things are getting a little bit more nuanced. Activist says as well that historic preservation boards have long voiced their concerns in other structures where the owners, in most cases developers, have left their structures open to the natural elements. The Duval Mamo style resort was designed by an architect, Melvin Grossman, completed in 1957. And it has amenities such as a large swimming pool, theater, salon, ice skating rink, ballroom, and radio station. The Laura Weinstein Berlman, a historic preservation board member, called it a real serious loophole that was extraordinarily concerning from both a life and safety perspective, as well as the historic preservation perspective. The letter to the commission states that the damage to the structure has been a large concern for the mayor, commission's administration, that concerns that it has intensified since the collapse of the Chaplain Tower South condo in Surfside. The Miami-Dade Circuit Court Judge Michael Hazan, who is also overseeing the Chaplain Tower South litigation, entered the order late last year and required the Morello entity to submit the structural report that led to the city's demo order. The Duval had until December 15th to submit the order. So,
yeah, she's the lady from the preservation is, basically saying that it's a loophole. Like,
right.
That's why she's mad, because, the Duval owners, let it go and deferred maintenance. And I mean, with what happened at Chaplain Towers, nobody, the city, the state, nobody wants that to occur again.
Yeah, nobody wants to take that risk.
So now they're smart to allow the demo to take place. I don't know. I'm very much like, I like to see old buildings, and it's great to, I'm not an architect nut. I don't go out and quote different architects. That's cool though. I like architect. I like buildings a lot. But I do believe that preservation boards are, I don't know, man, out of their element or something. When you see, it's all over Miami. Like, there's some cool old buildings that they preserved. Great. But I don't think that you should be forced. If you're the property owner, our civilization has evolved. So why shouldn't buildings evolve? So you want to keep an old building on sand that's correct right beside the beach, which they don't know about how well it was built many years ago. And you want to just build that same building over again. That's not the same building. So that makes no sense. Oh, they can demo it, but you got to build the same building. No, it's not the same building. It's not the same memories in that building. It didn't occur in that building. And, we're so fast to go out there and just take down monuments of people in the past and history and all this stuff. But when it comes to buildings, we have got to preserve everything because this architect built it and the Beatles performed there and Elvis was there, which is, I'm a big music. I love the Beatles and I love Elvis and all that stuff. Nostalgia. But come on, man. Like, we're not only are we a city that's growing tremendously, we need the density to house people.
Right.
So now you're going to just we need more hotel rooms. We need more apartment units. And now you're going to, tell people that they have to preserve their building is just ridiculous. So I think it's a, I don't want to say it's a great loophole, but I don't look down upon the owners that, what stinks is that they had to let this building just, it says it in the article that,
They just pretty much let it go.
yeah, they let the structure
Yeah.
open to natural elements. And they're scared that other owners will do this
Mhm.
because they're being awarded this. So they're opening a
Right.
slippery, slope. But build something new, build something technology. It's like, why aren't they? No one's out there saying we have to preserve cars.
Mhm.
People just do it, right? It's
Right.
like, oh, I love this car, I'm gonna preserve it on our own, on the market. But there's like these groups that go around and like that's their job to preserve
Mhm.
everything. I just think like they're trying to stall time
Mhm.
and not evolve.
Right.
I
Um,
think like those people shouldn't even be allowed to look into space or whatever. Like it's like like stop looking behind and like let's
Mhm.
look forward and let's grow with technology and make sure that the structures that we live in are safe. Not trying to preserve everything that's old and hope that it doesn't crumble. And then
Right.
we have these tragedies that are just, I don't know, man. I'm for innovation
I
and going
agree
forward.
to an extent because
Okay,
there's like
suburbia guy, let's hear.
it's because like it's just because
Because if they would have preserved some of those houses that were built back in the day where you lived,
yeah,
and not
it's
change the code and use technology, then a little wind would be still blowing down those
right, but
single family houses.
those homes didn't have the Beatles performing them either. Like
The Beatles performed in a lot of places.
yeah, but
If you like the Beatles, go buy their album.
my point
And there
I'll
is
just go on
couple
YouTube.
Beatles still alive.
But like my point is more than anything, it's just like I agree like to an extent because I think there's some buildings that are just kind of tied to the identity of Miami, and I do believe need to be preserved. Like for example, if we're gonna think of Miami Beach, you got like the Clevelander, right? Like it's just tied to it.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
People know it, but it's been renovated, and I mean, there's way more iconic places that you said the Clevelander.
Yeah,
That's
right.
kind of funny.
It's just because like the first one that pops into mind, but like I'm and it's
More
funny,
like
man.
the Freedom Tower, man.
Or yeah, like even like the Freedom
Well, that's a
Tower,
little
right?
different than the Clevelander.
Yeah, but
That's an iconic building.
yeah, but more than anything, like it's like if you're gonna have like, man, and this would have been really interesting if Ralph was here since he's also a history major. But it's just like my point is,
You can read about it, write a book about it, put it on your
but it's not the
kitchen
same.
table.
It's because like if
Have
you're
you
gonna
ever been
if you're
to the
gonna
Duval Hotel?
look at
Have you ever driven by
Sky
there and said that's where the Beatles
because
played?
look at the Sky
No,
Museum.
you have. Just answer the question. Have you?
Where?
This hotel.
Uh-huh.
Have you ever driven by it and looked at it and said that's where the Beatles play?
I don't even know where
Exactly. That's my point. All right, man. Let's get this going on January.
This is not over.
21st. Yeah, it is. David McGaw, Christian Lalong. Time to get out of here. Everybody enjoy their weekend. Be back on Monday.
Have a great weekend, everybody.